Thank you. We're going to start with our special presentations, Portrait Pioneer Awards, and then we're going to move down to the acknowledgement of valedictorian, and as well as the top 10% of the class of 2022.
Got to face the crowd here. Thank you. First, I'd like to start with special acknowledgments of two of our staff members here at the high school. And I'd like to thank Mr. Johnson, principal here, for recognizing these individuals. We had a conversation about Learning Adventure Days, and Mr. Johnson said he'd really like to pay tribute to a couple of special individuals at the high school. So without further ado, I'll read what Mr. Johnson shared. Jennifer DiLorenzo and Deb Peichel are well-deserving of the Portrait Pioneer Award. This year, they collaboratively led the implementation of Learning Adventure Days at PHS. This journey began last year when we started a conversation about how to enrich students' experience at PHS, while also ensuring that all students had opportunities to develop the portrait of the graduate skills in engaging ways. We also knew that we could do something special for our students because of our great community and our partnerships in Plainville. Anyone who has ever implemented a new idea or program knows that coming up with the idea is the easy part. Making the idea actually work is another. Jen and Deb put in hours and hours of work behind the scenes to make the first two Learning Adventure Days seem like they had always existed. This meant creating systems and processes from scratch that had never existed before at PHS. We committed to 1 2-hour session for each student for the first one in November and offered approximately 40 adventures for students. I got to fill in that day. I was helping set up tents outside, lighting fires. It was a little scary, but fun. That was a good time. We committed, Jen and Deb developed ways to market the adventures, give students the ability to choose which ones they wanted, and coordinate with the students with the adults running the adventures. This also included post surveys of students and teachers to make sure any problems could be fixed and get feedback from students to make the adventures even more engaging for the next time. If all that was not enough, we decided that we would offer full day adventures with 3 possible lengths the next time. But all students had to fill a full day, and we increased the offerings to over 70 different adventures. The complexity of planning this cannot be overstated, and Jen and Deb pulled it off seamlessly. In this process, they both demonstrated all the skills that we are working on teaching our students on these days. More importantly, though, they have created a program that will impact students at PHS for years to come. One of the most powerful things I have experienced in education was standing in the lobby after our last Learning Adventure Days and seeing the number of students who went out of their way to come over and say thank you as they left because of how amazing the day was for them. That is a credit to all the work that Jen and Deb put in to give this experience to our students. So I'd like to congratulate both of them. I'd like to thank our board for approving of these days and congratulate Jennifer DiLorenzo and Deb Peichel for their hard work and dedication to Learning Adventure Days. Okay. Now on to our students. we will start with our salutatorian. All right, now, I'm going to do my best to read this. I'm not going to be able to make eye contact and look up because Mr. Johnson wrote this, so I'm really struggling with that. But you've done so many impressive things during your time in high school that there's a lot to read here. So I'll do my best to pay tribute to your excellence. Haley Calder, salutatorian for the class of 2022. Haley has had an extraordinary academic career while a student at PHS. As salutatorian, she had the second highest cumulative GPA of her 159 classmates. She received the Gold Honor Roll for every quarter during her time at PHS. She has continually challenged herself with some of our most rigorous courses at PHS. During her time at PHS, she has taken 8 AP courses and ECE courses. She will have earned 34.52 credits when she graduates this June, a full year's worth beyond the required credits for graduation. She's a member of the National Honor Society, the Math National Honor Society, Spanish National Honor Society, and Science National Honor Society. That's a lot of honor societies. Haley has also been actively involved outside of the classroom at PHS. She has been a member of the concert band and jazz band for the past 4 years, as well as concert choir and chamber choir. Haley is an active member of the PHS girls swim team, became captain in senior year. She has volunteered for the MSP after-school program, where she spent more than 50 hours tutoring students, well above and beyond our learning through service requirements. She plans to attend the University of Connecticut in the fall, majoring in chemical engineering. Congratulations to Haley. Come on up here. And our valedictorian to the class of 2022, Daniel Sozansky. Did I say that correct, I hope? Sozansky? Is that better? Sozansky? Sozansky, okay. I'll get it one of these. All right. Daniel has had an exceptional academic career at PHS. As valedictorian, he has the highest cumulative GPA of his 159 fellow classmates. He has received Gold Honor Roll status every year while at PHS. He has continually challenged himself with some of our most rigorous and challenging courses at PHS. He will have taken 10 AP or ECE courses when he graduates. He will have earned 34.55 credits while at PHS, over a full year's worth beyond the graduation requirement. Daniel's a member of the National Honor Society, Italian National Honor Society, Math Honor Society, Science Honor Society, and Future Business Leaders of America. He's also very involved in PHS's athletics. Daniel's an active member of the cross-country, swim, and track and field teams at PHS. Daniel has received All-American for cross-country twice during his high school career. On top of all of his academic and athletic responsibilities, Daniel has also attended Polish school for 10 years and now serves as a volunteer on Saturdays. Daniel never sleeps, not ever. Sorry, I didn't say that, but I can only imagine. I don't know how some of you kids do it. Daniel plans to attend Princeton University in the fall and major in economics. Congratulations, Daniel. Parents here? Congratulations to our valedictorian and salutatorian. Obviously, the top 2 students in the class takes a tremendous amount of work. At this time, you know, this is something we didn't always do, but accept the Night of Excellence, and you receive a nice tribute there. But to be in the top 10% of your class as a senior is something really special. So all the students who met that criteria for the last few years have been honored at the May Board of Education meeting. So sometimes it comes down to 0.1% or just a very small margin of being number 1 or being number 2 or 3. So these are alphabetical order. You're all amazing. So I didn't put them in GPA order, but I'd like to congratulate the top 10% of the class of 2022 for your hard work, your dedication to your academics. Many of you, like our valedictorian, salutatorian, are also dedicated to the arts, to music, to sports, to community service, so all the things that make you a well-rounded and balanced human being. So congratulations to all of you. I'm going to start with Matthew Anderson. Is Matthew here? I'm sorry. Congratulations. Thank you. We'll just have him stand there for now. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew Bedorick. Sorry. That's in here. I know it is. Congratulations. Sorry about that. Okay. Haley Calder, you get to come up again. Alexandra Culver. Okay, he's with us anyway. Okay. Kira Guarco. Garrett Millette. Where's Garrett? Garrett, as you know, is our board liaison, so he's got a special seat. Claudia Mazurik. Avery Palma. Kevin Rondini. Oh, wow. Joseph Rossi. That's okay. It's okay. Daniel Sozansky. Again? Oh boy. I'm going to do my best. Jacob Stanchekowicz. Stanchekowicz? I think that's right. I'm glad you didn't hear me say his name wrong. Nice job, Jacob. We're proud of you. Arisha Wasim. McKaylee Wells. Jane Winkleman. Maya Winkleman. Alexander, no, I read that already. I'm back to the top of the order. It's a test for me, too. See, I'm not doing as well. All right, so that concludes our top 10%. If we could get a large round of applause. Okay, we have a couple more important awards to share. So at this time, the CAPE Student Leadership Award. The CAPE Student Leadership Awards program is designed to honor Connecticut high school and middle school students who exhibit exemplary leadership skills. 2 students from each school can be chosen in a CAPE member district, and they're eligible to receive the CAPE Student Leadership Award. Principals are to ask their staff for nominations and select students who exhibit leadership skills that include willingness to take on challenges, capability to make difficult decisions, concern for others, ability to work with others, willingness to commit to a project, diplomacy, and ability to understand issues clearly, as well as ability to honor a commitment. This year's recipients are, and I hope I don't say this wrong, is it Stelly? Peyton Stelly? Or is it Steele? Peyton Staley. Peyton Staley. Now, Peyton, I'm going to read about you if that's okay. Peyton is a hardworking, I'm going to give this to you first. You can stand here. Congratulations. Peyton is a hardworking, impassioned, positive leader and force in Plainville High School. Peyton consistently works hard in her courses, but more importantly, works hard to make positive change in the school community. High school students sometimes find it difficult to juggle the myriad expectations placed upon them. Peyton, however, effortlessly balances her academics, extracurriculars, and personal endeavors. Peyton is a key member of many different extracurriculars at PHS. She's an active member of the Social Justice Club, where she acts as social chair and serves as the voice for the club. Peyton works to make all people feel welcomed and that they belong. Her positive attitude is infectious. She is truly a leader in this school and is deserving of this award. Congratulations again to Peyton. Our other recipient of the CABE Student Leadership Award is Joseph Rossi. Joseph couldn't be here, but we're going to read about him anyway. Joseph's a dedicated, hardworking, humble, and bright individual. Throughout Joseph's high school career, he has consistently taken the most rigorous courses, including honors level advanced placement and early college experience courses. Joseph has never been scared of challenges. Rather, he views challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. He has displayed consistent persistence and determination in his classes and extracurriculars. Joseph is always looking for ways to give back to his family, friends, and community. One example of this is his work done on the greenhouse at PHS. Alongside 3 of his fellow ECE environmental science class members, Joseph researched how to design and build a greenhouse that would contribute and enhance all students' education. Joseph's a hardworking student and a leader who's deserving of this award. Congratulations, Joseph. And this one's not on the, actually listed on the agenda, but I'm just going to name, these 2 awards hadn't had banquets in the past, a couple of years because of COVID, but they did this year, so they're honored already, but I just want to acknowledge the Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference Scholar Athlete Award. So I think we may have someone in this room who's, right, Daniel? All right, so congratulations to Daniel Sozansky. Did I say it any better that time? And also, and there's no certificate. You don't have to come up. I just want to acknowledge you. But and Lillian Wazorko. So this is the Scholar Athlete Program. Annually recognizes 2 high school seniors from each member high school whose academic and athletic careers have been exemplary, whose personal standards and achievements are a model to others, and who possess high levels of integrity, self-discipline, and courage. So congratulations, Daniel and Lillian. Nice job. And then finally, the Connecticut Association of Schools High School Arts Award. Schools are invited to select 2 outstanding seniors who excel in any of the performing and/or visual arts programs offered by their school. Outstanding ability in the performing and visual arts, scholarship, and leadership are of primary importance to the school in making the selection. Students are nominated by the Fine Art and Music Department teachers at PHS. Congratulations to this year's recipients. Garrett Millette for Performing Arts. Oh, that's all right. We don't. Oh. And Peyton Staley. Did I say it right that time? All right. You don't have to come up, but I just wanted to acknowledge you. Those are really significant awards. I know you had the banquet and they celebrated you there. So I'd like to congratulate all of our outstanding seniors on a job well done. I know it's been a most unusual high school time, but you persevered, you persisted, you did what you had to do to be the best of the best. So I congratulate all of you. Nice job. And you get to leave after this too, so congratulations. All right. That's okay. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yes.
Hold on. Important question. Do you have to get home and do homework? All right. You should probably do that. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations again. Have a good night. Wow. Nope. Okay, well, congratulations to them all. We have 3 sets of minutes this evening, and if there are no objections or corrections to the minutes, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve items A through C, which includes minutes of the April 18th regular business meeting of the board, minutes of the April 18th special meeting, and the board's Finance and Facilities Subcommittee meeting of April 28th. Are there any questions or concerns, corrections or concerns?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of the April 18th regular meeting of the Board of Education, a request approval of the April 18th meeting of the special meeting of the Board of Education Policy Subcommittee, and a request approval of the minutes of the April 28th special meeting of the Board of Education Finance and Facilities Subcommittee meetings.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty, the motion carries. Citizens' comments. If you would like to address the members of the Plainville Board of Education, you are welcome to do so. We don't have anybody left, but you'll have 3 minutes to voice your matter at hand or your area of concern. Does anyone wish to address the Plainville Board of Education? Does anyone wish to address the Plainville Board of Education? Does anyone wish to, oh, finally, to address the Board of Education? Okay, so I guess we don't need the timer. Council Liaisons Report, Kathy Puglisi, do you have anything for us?
Good evening, Kathy Puglisi, 50 West Broad Street. It's nice to be back. I haven't visited with you in some time due to scheduling conflicts with budgets and town manager searches and all kinds of things, but it's nice to be back here, and hopefully I'll make it to your last meeting in June, all things being equal. I have a few items of interest for you that I'd like to share tonight. First of all, I'm sure you're all aware of the budget results, that the budget passed with 378 people voting. 378 voted yes, and 121 voted no for the general government budget. The Board of Education budget passed with 362 voting yes and 139 voting no. The turnout for the all-day vote was at 4% of the registered voters. The next step in our process is to set the mill rate. That has not been done yet. What happens when the community votes on the budget is they're voting on the expenditures. And the task that the council now has is to figure out how to pay for that. And we have not done that yet. And there's a few reasons why that hasn't happened yet. We were initially waiting for the legislative session to end, and at that point, which it did end on May 5th, is when the state finalized their budget. So now we're going to go back in and look at what happened there. We still have work to do. The good news is we haven't finished it, but the bad news is, as you may all be aware, is the state partnership health plan for our health insurance increase will be 10.5% rather than the 8%, which we had projected and put it in our budget. So the town manager has a plan to take care of the difference. The impact of this increase is a total of $196,069, with $145,360 to the education budget and $50,709 to the general government budget. Town manager and staff is recommending that the increase will be paid from the debt management line in the budget, since the budget has already been approved for expenditures, so the council can take some funds out of the debt management fund, which will help take care of that unanticipated increase. I was sincerely hoping it would go in the other direction. However, that wasn't the case, but there are funds that we can take care of that, and so we'll just move along and get it done. Probably the mill rate is most certainly the mill rate will be discussed at our next council meeting. I'm not sure if we will set the mill rate at that meeting, but we do need to take care of that before June 1st, whereas the tax bills need to go out for printing and be delivered to the residents by July 1st. So we'll be dealing with that. There's some questions I have regarding some of our revenue assumptions, and there'll be some conversations about how we can get to where we need to be. One of the concerns, as with I'm sure everybody, is that inflation continues to charge ahead and forge ahead. And the impacts on energy, the impacts on food, the impacts on virtually everything that anybody has to consume or deal with in their daily lives continues to gallop along at an increased speed. That is a grave concern. So the council will take that into some thought, and we will see what we can do to try and help the local taxpayer. Many, if not most of our taxpayers at this point in time will see a tax increase due to the recommended mill rate that is in the budget that passed. However, the council can relook at some revenue assumptions and see if there's something else we can do to try and alleviate some of that pressure. But I think it's not just Plainville, it's everywhere. Every city and town is dealing with this across the country. There's difficulty, and we are very much aware of and sensitive to how this may impact some folks. So we're going to be working on that in the next week or two. We also have approved a contract for some sidewalk replacements, which are going to be along sections of Maxine Road, Bernice Court, Tomlinson Avenue, and Laurel Court. We're going to use some funding that we got from ARPA, so we're quite excited about getting some of these sidewalks replaced. We had a complete inventory of all of our sidewalks done a few years ago, and it told us which areas are in most need of repair. So that's how we're approaching some of these things. So we are going to get some things done that have been kind of really put on the back burner for many, many years, and we're now able to take care of that. At our last meeting, we approved 3 more projects that were on our ARPA funding list. That the 3 projects that we did approve were the fiber project for $500,000. I talked to Kevin tonight, and it's all done. Fiber project is done, so that's very exciting news. It seemed like we talked about this for 2.5 years at least, but it's done, and so we approved to use some of these ARPA funding to take care of that. The other 2 projects that we approved were the Mountain View Pump Station upgrade, which is $87,000, and the West Cemetery expansion for $22,500. The Mountain View Pump Station was upgraded last year, and it was eligible for some of this funding to pay. And the cemetery work is going to clear some land on the property and allow for additional grave sites to be available for the foreseeable future. That hasn't been done in many years, and this is a good opportunity for us to do that. The next item that the town recently was made aware of is the DOT is anticipated to give their final approval for the installation of a flashing beacon warning signal on Route 10. E Street at the intersection of Robert Holcomb Way by the end of May. The town staff has ordered the beacon and is expected to be installed by town staff during the summer month. As all know, that is an area where students cross either at the early part in the morning getting to school or at the end of the day. We had asked DOT if we could get some sort of a flashing warning light so that drivers will be aware and look out for children and students that are going to be crossing that area. So that is going to happen. In addition to that particular beacon, the DOT has recently notified Plainville that they are planning to install flashing beacon warning signals on Northwest Drive in the vicinity of Toflon Elementary School. And in the future, we will be perhaps having some installed also in front of the post office. It's another area where pedestrians cross over, and it could be a bit of an issue. So those are some of the projects DOT has notified us. Some of the plans for the downtown areas, we're probably not going to be seeing it for another 1 to 2 years by the time the DOT gets everything in place. But those are some items that are coming up and taking care of some things that have been out there for a while. So does anybody have any questions for me?
I just wanted to thank Robert. we've been working on the installation of the beacons on Route 10 here because of some incidents, and he's been I know there's a process involved, but he's been very helpful with that.
Yep.
At the time, Interim Chief Peterson was helping with that too, so we appreciate the work from the police department and Robert in getting that taken care of. That's great that they're going to have Metopholon also, and eventually downtown. So thank you.
Yeah, I think there's some of this flashing warning also was installed by for the crossing of Wheeler School students at Pinnacle Road. That was another area where there is a crossing guard there, of course. However, you know, it's such a busy road and the volumes and speed can be dangerous. So there's going to be one there as well. So it's nice that some of these areas are being taken care of after so very many years. And we're glad that we're going to be able to get the help from the state to do that. Before I close, I would like to, I know they've all left, all these fabulous students, but I do want to congratulate the valedictorian, the salutatorian, the top 10% students, and the students who receive special CABE recognition. So I know that to achieve that is an awful lot of work, and it doesn't just happen in 1 year. It's probably a career of doing good work all through elementary school, middle school, and when they get to the high school, the work ramps up. So congratulations to all of them. I think that's wonderful. Their families and teachers and everybody that helped them along certainly deserves the recognition. So that was a lovely recognition of the children. Congratulations to all of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go for the superintendent's report.
Thank you. So just a few items on here, but they're important items, and they need a little bit of explanation. The first item is the strategic planning update. I'd like to thank the almost 50 people from around the town, different stakeholders who came out. We had a student. There were a couple that couldn't make it, but we had a wonderful student, Tamia Chapman, and parents, a number of parents, and PTO and Parent Advisory Council and PTC members, members from the school, from local businesses, members from the town council, Chairwoman Puglisi, and I won't name all the 50 people because we could be here a long time. Board members, of course, teachers, administrators, our planning team. It was a great session where we looked at what had come in as different ideas in order to improve our district and make it the model school district in Connecticut. We had a chance to talk about some of the things we're really proud of in Plainville already that are going really well and that we plan to maintain and even improve even more. But we had a really good chance to look at survey information that came in from students and families and staff and community members, and some of the specific ideas that all fell within 5 different kind of big bucket areas or of improvements that we could make. So great chance to discuss, to express interest in further work on subcommittees that will be developed for each of those 5 main areas. And we're continuing to do things using grant funds and Board of Education budget funding to support and move some of these initiatives in this work forward. So, all that I'll conclude with on that is that it's been a very inclusive and collaborative process, and we look forward to that continuing. We're in the planning process now. We're taking all the information we gathered at that session, combined with the level of interest from different individuals on being on different committees. And we'll be sending some things out. There may be some work over the summer and then certainly throughout next year, but this is not expected to be a one and done process, but an evolving process where we take on different subcommittees and work on projects on a continual basis over the next year and beyond. So, the grant funds that you know of, the Essa funds and the ARPA funds, do have a sunset. They go away. You have to be spent down by certain timelines. So we're, of course, cognizant of that. And you'll hear about 2 projects tonight that we're hoping to use grant funding for that we talked about at the Finance and Facilities Subcommittee. So with that, without further elaboration, very pleased, and I would just want to thank everyone who came out and took part in the strategic planning process and those who also submitted surveys to help us with that conversation. The next item is something on the VEX Robotics stipend side letter is how it's listed on the agenda, but this stemmed from the wish in our district that's been expressed to me by many of bringing robotics back at the high school level and really building on the success that's happened over the years at the middle school with the VEX robotics program. Camille Westfall has done a tremendous job leading that. She's a leader among the state in VEX robotics. I was an inspector judge for the last couple of years at the state tournament that's hosted at our middle school. Ms. Gonsalvo was a judge as well, I believe, this past year, right?
For the robotics?
Yeah,
We helped with the
the inspector.
inspecting, yeah.
So we're inspectors of the robots. But it's just exciting to see the engagement of the kids, the use of STEM and STEAM in order to apply those skills to a real purpose. So at that competition, I had a high-performing high school student approach me and say, you know, boy, I wish we had it at the high school, because he helps out the middle school. And there were a few students there, and so I said, well, let me look into it. I met with a small committee, including Mr. Michaud, who's the instructional leader for the CTE and Unified Arts programs, and Mr. Johnson and Ms. Westfall. We started to plan, how can we expand this? We did some research at other leading programs around the state where it's really strong in the high school. We talked about also building capacity at the elementary level. So the end result of all that is was a side letter that we proposed to the Education Association of Plainville, because whenever there's a new stipend position with payment attached to it, it has to be negotiated. So at this point, it's just awaiting the Board of Ed approval. We have agreement with the teachers union for advisors, and that's in the board members' packets tonight. It's the VEX robotics. I'm just trying to. I had it right in front of me. Yeah. So the VEX robotics stipend side letter, which I just had them. Okay. So what this would do it would basically give an advanced funding in excess of what the current club and activity rate would be, to really attract a high-level coach that's going to spend a lot of time working on a team. It requires many hours. It requires weekends, competitions, sometimes traveling. And so what we've proposed, and this would all be paid for the next couple of years out of our grant funding, and then our hope is that we'll have donations from local businesses who want to sponsor a team, both in talent and in resources. Our students will do fundraising. That's something that a lot of FIRST robotics teams do. We've had state championship FIRST robotics teams, but then the level of interest and involvement in the FIRST robotics team kind of decreased. So our hope is that we'll build a K through 12 VEX robotics program that'll be second to none in the state. And to do that, we're hoping to hire some really good people. So depending on the enrollment, which we'll have to assess how many students are going to do it, our plan is to have two advisors at the high school, 2 at the middle school, and 1 at each of the elementary schools. So it'd be a total of 7 different advisors to lead these VEX robotics programs. At the elementary school, you know, it's all laid out in the side letter here. But at the high school level, the head person would be based on 12% of the lowest step teacher salary, just as we base a coach's salary. I believe, depending on the sport, it's 18% down to, down and lower, but the highest paid coaches are about 18% of the lowest paid bachelor's salary. So that's how this is developed. So the head advisor at the high school would receive $5,642.04 for the year. The VEX assistant advisor would receive $2,576, which is a Class A stipend, club activity stipend. The middle school position would receive 8% of the lowest bachelor salary, which would be $3,614. And then the VEX assistant at the middle school would receive a club and activity stipend. It's actually category B, $1,545. And at the elementary, we're expecting smaller, and it's not as competitive, not as many weekends. It would be the Class B stipend for $1,545. So, you know, we're excited about really building on this program. We have kids who are really engaged, really high-level achievers who want to be involved in this, who want to lead as a student. So our hope is to attract advisors, because it is a lot of time, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of responsibility. We attract advisors who can build on these programs. And we do have clubs that we have run in the past that are no longer running, so often it gets offset by other savings in the future. But for now, the plan would be to use grant funds to help cover that. Any questions about the VEX Robotics stipends before I move forward? Ms. Clark?
Great that it is coming back, all 5 schools.
Thank you. Ms. Clark?
I was just wondering, is the middle school being funded now?
Yes, the middle school, it's funded at the Class A stipend level, which is about $2,576. So it would go up to
Okay,
the
good.
$3,500.
I just wanted to make sure that it was
3600.
reflecting. Okay.
Yes, thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The high school level would have more competitions and more weekends, so that's why it's at a higher, it's a more competitive field, different parts, different components. It's an advanced level, but still the middle school is quite extensive. They're actually traveling to the Worlds in Texas very soon.
I think it was this past week.
It already happened this past weekend. That's how soon it was. So we had, I think, 4 students and then some families going down, so I'm curious to hear how they did. I'll give you that. And then moving on to Essa proposed projects, I'm going to ask Mr. Adlerstein to help me explain this. Mr. Wallowitz is here from Linden. I'll give you the essence of these 2 projects, and then we can get into more of the details. I do want to thank the board members, the members of the Finance and Facilities Subcommittee who met last week to hear, was it last week or 2? Time flies. It was last week. To learn about these projects and to get a basic overview. We've continued to do work on these and outlining them and getting more information together. So that meeting was on April 28th at 6 o'clock here in the high school Learning Commons. So essentially, there are 2 projects we'd like to fund through the ESSER grant funds that we believe are definitely aligned with the intentions of those grants. One of those projects is related to the high school's Learning Commons and getting that up to date with newly, I won't use the word renovated. There are some minor renovations of the front desk area, but the furniture, the layout, the technology, mostly the seating arrangements in the furniture. Mrs. Peichel did a very nice job. You can see the kind of diagram there. A lot of it's the having cafe tables, things that are on wheels that can be moved together to use for better learning spaces. It would be a great opportunity for kids. You'll be able to fit 100 students in there, which is an increase of about 30 from the current layout. It would also provide for collaborative learning areas within there. Also areas for fun and recreation during downtime, like doing puzzles or board games, which kids are really enjoying these days, which is nice to hear. In addition to that, it would have the opportunity, instead of being in here, we're hoping that we'll have our board meetings, we can have our board meetings in there, in other public meetings where they need to rent a space or use a space for the town, programs can just use the space, but other outside groups could potentially rent the space. We do rent out our areas, our auditorium and our other spaces, so we're hoping that in the future that would be a potential as well. A lot of research was done by Mrs. Peichel, who was here earlier getting her Portrait Pioneer Award for the Learning Adventure Days. But a lot of work done between her and getting feedback from the students, from the staff, having a vendor come in that's on the state bid. So when we talk to the town finance manager about this process, because it is grant funded, even though these are relatively large capital purchases, Sam, correct me if I misspeak on any of this, the process would be to go through the Board of Education, Finance and Facilities Subcommittee, for initial discussion, and then go before the board for a vote in order to use vendors that are on the state bid, that have been approved under the state contracts, I should say. And that would allow us to not have to go out to bid as long as they're on the state contract list. Mr. Adlerstein, can you add anything to that with the library project or the general process?
Do you mind if I just reference this handout?
Please do, yeah.
So what you have in front of you is a summary of what was presented to the Finance and Facilities Committee several days ago. And the first page is, as Mr. LePage stated, typically capital purchases go to the town council. The town charter says, though, if the purchase is from a grant from the Board of Ed, then it would come directly to you. So usually you don't see purchases like this because the town council will be approving them. It's a little unusual because it's funded by our Essa grant, it's coming directly to you. So that's basically what the first page says. Almost down near the bottom of the first page, it starts talking about the Commons furniture, and it's just the overview that Mr. LePage, so it's a written overview with the layout that Mr. LePage just took you through. Page 3, the top of page 3, that chart is just showing that this comes from the state's approved bid list, and across the top are the different, the columns are the different vendors that are on the state bid list, and down the side are the different manufacturers. The biggest manufacturer of the equipment on this quote is in a rectangle halfway down the page, and it just shows that we, you know, the vendor whose quote we're presenting here is listed for that manufacturer as well as a bunch of other manufacturers. So we weren't just limited to one item or one manufacturer's furniture. And then the chart in the middle of that page is the cost from the quote. If we weren't going from the state bid list, then we would want to go out to bid for this, because the work's already been done for us because we're utilizing the state bid list. And I think that brings us up to what Ms. LePage was explaining.
Thank you. So that's related to the library, or the PHS Commons as it's referred to. And Mr. Johnson was also very much involved in that process with Ms. Peichel. So something they've been asking for a long time. They've been turned down in the past because it wasn't in the budget or in the cards. It wasn't something we could put forward even in the capital budget. But with our ESSER grants that are intended for these types of things and others that we're working on, it's a good opportunity to beautify the space, make it more usable by everyone who uses that space. And it's already a hub. It's really like the heart of the high school. So it's a great opportunity. So we would recommend, as part of the vote later, to move forward that process of updating the Learning Commons with a maximum not to exceed $140,000. The list that we have, which is a pretty accurate and up-to-date list, is 137, but there's always little variables as you go forward. So the next one is related to an equity situation and access to equitable resources at Linden Street School compared with the other elementary schools in town. Currently, the Linden Playscape, the preschool one, is not, you can't use it because it's got damage and it's in disrepair. It's in really bad shape. So that needs to be replaced and updated to be more comparable to the beautiful Playscape at Wheeler and some of the equipment at Toflon. We need a little work over there too, but Linden has the biggest disparity between what they have at the other elementary schools. That's the 2 through 5 Playscape. The 5 through 12-year-old Playscape in the back is really small. There are limited options. It's getting pretty old. It can't hold many students, or it can't entertain many students. There's really a couple of slides and one apparatus you can climb, but there's really not much you can do. The monkey bars that you swing from are so close together you can't. It's kind of outdated. So we're looking at different options. We had members of this who are in this room now, and Tom and Jeff and Sam and Steve Bussell have worked with vendors to look at different vendors, Compan, and also, if I can look down, was it Playtime? I'm trying to remember the other name. Game Time, thank you. And had representatives come in and give estimates for both of those areas, the preschool 2 through 5 and then the 5 through 12. We also need a fence to better maintain safety for the preschoolers, so that'd be an additional expense of about $7,000 to close off that area where the preschoolers are. In addition to that, there's a lot of equipment that there's no place to put it for the preschoolers. There used to be a shed, it blew away, right, years ago. It's somewhere in Oz, I think now. It disappeared in a big windstorm. Not the best quality, so they're looking to replace a shed as well. So that estimate's built into here. There's also another piece of equipment that I'm hearing is incredibly important called the Gaga Pit. And a Gaga Pit, I know, that was the face I made too, Ms. Puglisi, when I first heard Gaga Pit, but then I realized what it was and I saw how much it was utilized even for seniors in high school at Camp Chase. It's basically, it's an octagonal shaped, with the walls that are about maybe 3 feet high, and it's basically anybody can play the game. It includes anyone. You don't necessarily have to be the best, at kicking a ball or throwing a ball or catching a ball or hitting a ball, like in baseball, soccer, some of the other sports. And everybody can be included. It's kind of hard to explain it, but it's all the rage. So it's something that I know is very, very popular and they would like to have at Linden. So playground equipment is expensive. Removal of old equipment, if that's decided. Right now, we're having a safety assessment that's going to come in. That hasn't happened yet, has it, Mr. White? We have someone coming in to assess the current piece of equipment there. And it was interesting because Toflon students were at Linden for an event after school, and they went out back and they asked where the other playground was because they wanted to play in the playground. And it's the only one they have. They're just so used to having what they have at Toflon. So I learned of that just about a week ago from the teacher who had taken the kids over there. So it was just interesting to hear from the kids. So the goal is to make it equitable to the other elementary schools and have the same ability to play and have things you can access from the ground, so anybody can utilize these areas and have lots of different fun things to do when they go out for recess. So I know we went through a lot of this with the board the other night, but so the two options we looked at, who are kind of the biggest players in the game, I guess, of equipment. From the other night, some things that have changed are the costs associated with, we were able to get more costs associated with installation. If the current piece of equipment at Linden is deemed to be not something we should keep because there's not enough life left in it and we should replace, the removal of that is also factored in here. Excavation after you remove that piece of equipment. So these are kind of variables. So this is going to be the absolute highest amount that we would ask for, and so the recommended not to exceed amount is $380,000 to include all the preschool. Playscape equipment's expensive. Preschool and then 5 through 12 equipment, the fence, the shed, removal, replacement, the wood chips, the Gaga Pit, the installation costs. So some of these costs we believe we're confident we can reduce, but this would be the most that it would be. Mr. Adlerstein, is there anything else you'd like to add to that explanation?
The fence and the shed are listed just below the chart on page 5, and they were listed separately because they're funded from a different grant, a Smart Start grant, $7,145, and that'd be the only thing I would add.
Right. That's the total cost for both the fence and the shed. Thank you. Yeah, we'll make sure that one's not going to blow away.
Yeah.
But the goal would be to have our students, our amazing students at Linden, to have the same opportunities to have fun, play, and adventure, and learning, and physical and mental development during recess time that happens at the other schools. Mr. Wallowitz, is there anything that I didn't add that you'd like to share as principal of Linden? Feel free to come up to the mic if you want, if you have anything else you want to share. Thank you, Mr. Wallowitz. You could coach me on how to use a few words. I would appreciate it. You say a lot by saying a little. I appreciate that.
I just noticed in the second last paragraph on page 5, I spelled Mr. White's name
It's
wrong.
not Tom
Sorry
Wild,
about that.
it's Tom White.
And I'm not sure if the whole board knows Tom White. He's our lead custodian. Been in that position for most of the school year this year, since December, and has been actively involved in this Playscape project.
Thanks, Mr. Ellerstein. I failed to mention that, yes, Tom White has done quite a bit working with vendors, Mr. Bustle. You know, so we really want to make sure that not just our preschoolers who are going to be returning to Linden this year is the plan, but also the 5 through 12-year-olds will enjoy these playscapes during school, after school, weekends, should they come and want to play on it with their families. They're great things to have in a community. And we're hoping that the board will vote to move forward with these not to exceed amounts with the full expectation that we're going to do everything we can to get those costs down much lower, but that's, you know, we're trying to anticipate any contingencies that were laid out to us as gross estimates about what it would cost for all the different components.
If I could just add, the furniture project, I think, is pretty close to the quote. We
Right.
don't believe there's much difference that you'll see there. I think when there's potential savings, it's the playground, because they're still looking at features, and a playground's not a playground, not a playground. We do have both of these vendors' equipment in district at other schools, so we're very familiar with it. But and then whether we remove the other playground or not is a huge variable.
Any questions before all right, and, yeah.
Sam, I was just wondering on the library, I was looking at the seating arrangements, and real quick, the KI company, looking at the furniture and thinking about, you know, with equity and having made sure all the children can enjoy the library. Children with motor needs and stuff, they do make seats that sway, which would be kind of nice for some kids that have, you know, that are anxious or want to sit. I can give you that information, but I didn't know if, like, the furniture's like written in stone into the budgeted amount, or.
No, if you
Where-
pass that information on to me, I'll pass it on to Ms. Peichel and
Okay.
Mr. Johnson.
Because I was just like seeing it, I'm like, you know, trying to think like what kind of nook
I'm
maybe.
pretty sure we have wobble chairs and things like that in the district and other areas.
Yeah.
So it's not a foreign concept to us.
Right. Oh, no, I was just looking at like whereabouts you could like stick a little nook for.
Deb also had sample of the fabrics and all
Yep.
at that meeting last week. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Good, thank you.
I just have a quick question. Any unused funds in the up to amount, will it just go back into the unused ESSER general fund, if you will?
Yeah, we would only we would only put in for the costs that are actually for purchases that are made in order to complete those projects. So if say the playscapes only cost $300,000, then the $80,000 that was approved would just stay in the ESSER funds for other projects to be used in the future. Yep, good question. And then just a couple of other quick things. You know, we had a discussion, dress codes come up a few times, just in discussion. And, you know, in our prior meeting after we came out of executive session into public session, just a quick discussion about dress code and looking at the policy that's currently in place. And we agreed that it would be a good idea, because it was last updated in 2007, to look at it as a policy subcommittee. So, you know, unless there's any objection to that, Mr. Lewandowski can put that on the agenda for the next policy subcommittee to look at and potentially update the dress code policy just so it's more current to the times. It's 15 years old now, and styles have changed, and Mr. Lewandowski has great style, so he'll be able to lead that conversation well.
Is there a policy for that?
So that's all I had for that. And then I just wanted to acknowledge, you know, it's on Wednesday, it's National School Nurses Day. I can't think of many people who have worked harder in the past few years, and on a daily basis. My sister's is a school nurse up in Rhode Island, so I know exactly how much goes into that position and the care for the children, not just their physical care, but also check-ins and just making sure they're doing okay if they're having a bad day, and helping out with training of staff on certain items and needs of the children, and just really with all the COVID-related challenges and reaching out to parents and giving guidance. Just so much goes into that position now more than ever. So I just want to thank our school nurses and be extra kind to them on Wednesday. And then Teacher Appreciation Week was last week. I just want to thank the PTOs and parent advisory groups and everyone who was so kind to the teachers and all of our educators across the district. When I was visiting all the schools, I saw all kinds of nice things and little gifts and tokens and food and all kinds of great things for the teachers. So thank you to our teachers, our educators, and our school nurses. And I believe our cafeteria associates too. Was that recent, Mrs. Tyrell? Last Friday, our cafeteria associates who provide nutrition and smiles and good food to the kids and do a great job. So we thank all of them. And that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Alrighty, we can move on to the board subcommittee reports. We'll start with the student representative report with Garrett and Isabella.
Isabella.
Oh, Garrett left.
He went to jazz band.
Isabella, okay.
Yeah, that's jazz.
Jazz.
Okay, so before I start, I would like to ask something. So about the dress code policies, I was wondering if maybe in that subcommittee you could have students talk too. I know it's not often, but people like Peyton, people that have the same mindset as Peyton recognize the importance as well as wanting to have everyone be heard. So maybe just a thought. That's all. Okay.
That's a great idea.
That is.
All right. So hi, I'm Isabella Grasso. Garrett just went to jazz, and I told him I wouldn't get him because I don't know where he is. So juniors and seniors have been taking big leaps forward into furthering their education. I, for one, have taken our AP exams as well as finals for early college experience classes. Seniors are looking forward to a multitude of graduation activities, such as the Super Senior Celebration. And all in all, I think PHS and its students are looking for a good end-of-the-year experience. A quick overview of the events that are happening at PHS. Currently, juniors and seniors are taking their AP tests. 6 have been completed, with 2 more tomorrow. Looking forward, this Wednesday, May 11th, the middle school of Plainville 6th and 7th choral concert will be at the PHS auditorium with a performance of the chamber choir. And then this Thursday, May 12th, the PHS chorus will be performing their spring concert at 7 in the auditorium, which features a performance by the 8th grade chorus, chamber choir, and medley of West Side Story, accompanied by a live pit band of the Plainville School's music teachers. It's never been done before. Very excited. The PHS band and jazz band concert will be next Thursday, May 19th at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. And then PHS class advisors and student councils prepare for many end-of-year activities, including the junior-senior prom on Saturday, May 21st at the AquaTurf, senior class night on Wednesday, May 25th, super senior banquet Thursday, May 22nd at the AquaTurf, senior class picnic Friday, May 27th at Camp Chase, Senior Sports Awards Wednesday, June 1st at the AquaTurf, Night of Excellence Thursday, June 2nd. Coffee House is coming back Friday, June 3rd at 7 p.m. in room 403 at the choir room. Then we have PHS Theater Unlimited one-act plays on Wednesday and Thursday, June 8th and 9th at 7:30 in room 403 again. Then we have the Class of 22 graduation ceremony on Friday, June 10th at 7 p.m. And then Student Council is also looking to try and have a townwide movie night on May 27th, which we need your approval for, so maybe. Okay, that's all I have.
What's the movie?
We sent out a survey, and so far, the one that has the most, we have Teen Beach Movie, Tangled, and Finding Nemo.
I enjoyed all those movies.
Yeah.
Family friendly. All right, well, I'm sure you'll hear from Mr. Johnson. Thanks.
Thank you. Foster Facilities Finance Subcommittee report.
Yes, most of that we have gone over, but I would just like to, yes, the Facilities and Finance Subcommittee did meet on the 28th. I would personally like to thank Steve LePage for being there, Sam Adlerstein, Steve Bussell, Carl Johnson, Jeff Wolowitz, and Deb Peichel, and lead custodian Tom White for getting there. At that meeting, I think Sam really gave us a good definition and the supporting information and the controls that are established by going through the bid waiver process for these two projects that we will be voting on under new business in tonight's session. I think the superintendent's report kind of covered the essence of that meeting. I think these are two essential products. I did have a chance to take a quick look at the playgrounds at Linden Street School last Friday, and they are in dire need of getting into equity. The other thing we did discuss briefly, maybe it will be possible, I would love to see a Gaga Pit also go in the other two elementary schools if we can find, if we can come up with some cost savings on what we're going to vote on tonight. There might be some funding left, because those are really very popular among the youth and a great exercise opportunity. And so we can get one at Linden, then we could get one maybe at Toflon and Weir. It would be really super, just kind of plus to the pie. And I also just, I really want to second our student reps' recommendation that we have some student input into a discussion at the policy committee meeting. I think if the chair could approve that, I think it would be great. And maybe our student rep who made the suggestion, if you ever volunteer or make a remark in front of me, I generally use you as a volunteer, but I think you'd be a great representative. But that concludes my report, unless there are any questions on that. We will have a vote under new business to approve both expenditures with not to exceed using the bid waiver process.
Okay. Crystal, the policy subcommittee report.
Yep, the policy subcommittee met on virtually on Monday, April 18th, actually right before the board meeting. So we kind of went over this a little bit, but I'll go over it again since they're on for, I believe, right, a first reading for tonight.
Right.
So we went over 5 policies. The first one was credit for online courses and remote learning policy. This is actually a new policy because of an act that will begin July 1st. And this act allows boards of education to authorize remote learning for students in grades 9 through 12, provided the remote instruction is in compliance with the SDE standards for remote learning. So we would like to have that policy put into place. The second policy we went over was student privacy policy. The reason for changes was based on guidance from the U.S. Department of Education Student Privacy Policy Office. So just some updated language there. Our third policy was a food service charges policy. There were some modifications to the current policy, kind of just overall basically just prohibiting that public identifying or shaming a child for any unpaid meal charges. Was the basic gist of that one. And then the fourth policy we went over was the FAFSA completion rates policy. This is actually a new policy, and this policy aligns with Section 6 of a public act, which directs boards of education to adopt a policy no later than July 1st, 2022, to improve completion rates of the FAFSA by students enrolled in grades 12 or an adult education program maintained by the board. So the FAFSA, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've filled it out, but many times, but it's for federal student aid for colleges, really. So we just want to help with completion rates for those for our students and to kind of give assistance, because it's not easy for anyone to fill those out. Not fun. The fifth policy is challenging curriculum policy. This is a new policy, and this policy will align with sections 3, 4, and 5 of a Public Act 21-199, which requires boards of education to adopt a policy that, 1, provides multiple methods by which a student may satisfy the eligibility criteria for student enrollment in an advanced course or program. 2, provides a provision requiring the creation of an academic plan, and this plan is created for each student identified under the criteria in the board's challenging curriculum policy. And 3, these academic plans can be part of the required student success plans, but should not conflict with the career choices of the student or the student's parent or guardian. So I'd like to put that in, and again, they're up for first read tonight.
Rebecca's not here. There's no outreach subcommittee report, so we'll move on to the, to Foster for the high school PAC info.
The PAC was supposed to meet this week. They've changed that, so the Plainville High School PAC will be meeting on the 18th at 7 o'clock, and that will be an in-person meeting, and that will be in the Learning Commons.
Great, thank you. Rebecca's not here for the for Teflon. We'll move to Cassandra for London Street PTO.
Yes, the last Linden Street PTO meeting will be this Wednesday, the 11th. Will be the last one of the year. They've had a very successful year this year at Linden School. Nicole has done an amazing job leading the PTO. Last month they had an excellent start to spring. It was very successful. Despite the weather being a bit off, the kids had a great time. They did raffles, and they were able to make some money that way. They had some donations from the town, different places as well. Their book fair, they were able to donate $1,450 worth of Scholastic books to the teachers at Linden. And the Teachers Appreciation Week started on Sunday with Chalk the Walk, which invited the children to come to the school to write with chalk and all kinds of positive messaging for the teachers, so that when they came Monday morning, they would see it. We did have a little bit of rain on Monday morning, but Nicole took plenty of pictures, made sure she captured all those moments, and it was great, though. They actually chalked part of the entranceway of Linden, so, because it's chalkable. But anyways, yeah, it was a good time. They have some more stuff planned for the rest of the year, so it's exciting stuff. So hopefully we'll get some more members, but it's a good thing.
Thank you. Let's see. MSP, Crystal?
Yep. I believe the MSP met, I think it was April 12th. They've got a lot of great, exciting things happening. They had a first cornhole tournament, I think it was last week. They're hoping to grow it next year and kind of make it a community event. I guess it was a lot of fun. They're going to do another spring paint night on May 20th. They also are in the middle of awarding scholarships to some graduating high school seniors. They treated teachers and staff to a breakfast last Tuesday and then an afternoon snacks on Thursday. And they also gave 3 daily gift card winners to teachers also. They're looking forward to a bunch of field trips, and the PTC is giving money toward some of those trips. And they actually will be meeting tomorrow night, May 10th at 7 o'clock to discuss the 8th grade dance and a whole bunch of fun other end of the year things. So come on out tomorrow night at 7 to help plan those end of the year events.
Thank you. Rachel, Wheeler School.
Wheeler School has some exciting news to report. They had a successful Spirit Day fundraiser led by third grade teacher Miss McQueen at Wheeler's Student Council. They had a PJ Day that raised $309 for Relay for Life, and First Blue and Yellow Day, hopefully the only, raised nearly, not the only, but I hope we don't have to be in this situation for a very long time to raise those funds, is what I meant. So it's nice to see it's happening. Raised nearly $1,000 to donate to Save the Children, who in turn will send the money for food and clothing to the children in the Ukraine. Absolutely incredible effort there, and they're going to have another event. They had a second event, rather, that raised an additional $656 for the same cause. Spots and Stripes Day raised $100 to go to the Army's Animal Legacy and Rescue Shelter. And Crazy Socks Day was for Adriana, a student at the school, raising $560.47. Or no, Adriana's a student at Tafalon, and the school district was raising funds for her. So an incredible Spirit Week held at Wheeler with lots of amazing causes having funds raised for them. The next PTO meeting will be on May 19th at 6 p.m. in the Wheeler Library, where the focus will be on planning for the Wheeler Family End of the Year celebration. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. And CREC, anything from Becky?
The CREC Council met just almost a month ago now. And again, the most interesting thing I usually report on is the legislative update. The information's a little old, but the session now has ended. And I believe tomorrow morning, CABE is doing a wrap-up of all the legislation that went through and its impact on local school districts. So
I'll be attending that.
you're going to that. That's great. I think it's up at the Capitol. Yes.
9 o'clock.
That'll be great. And they're having their annual meeting May, I don't know, it's a Wednesday, so.
You said May 17th? The 18th, okay. Okay. Chairman's report. I just wanted to talk about the opportunity I had to go with Mr. LePage and Mr. Lewandowski to award the teachers at our schools for the Teacher of the Year, which will then be processed and pulled out when, in the summer?
No, we're just over the next, Mr. Lewandowski, or the next, this week, right?
Oh, okay. And then they don't find out until we have... Oh, I see. Oh, for convocation, right, okay, that's what I was thinking of. Okay, yeah, so that was fun. And also, I was able to attend the retirement party for Robert Lee and Shirley Osel at the AquaTurf last Wednesday. It was really nice. A lot of people spoke to congratulate them on their retirement, and it was a good time, and it was nice to see everybody there. Also, as Rachel was talking about the Spirit Day last week, the kids had a great time, and the Silly Sock Day, and it was great, you know, raising money for, forgot what her name was. Adriana, yes. So, and that's all I have. There's no unfinished business this evening. So we'll move on to board open forum. Does anyone have anything they'd like to speak about?
Yes, two things. One, I would like to thank Dave Lewandowski for the changes he made in the selection of the Teacher of the Year process. One, for doing it during Teacher Appreciation Week. Excellent timing, Dave. And also, by having a Teacher of the Year in each one of the 5 schools, and then having those 5 people then be under selection by the existing committee of former Teachers of the Year in the district to be the Teacher of the Year representing Plainville. And so first, I think that was, I had the opportunity to go with you on a couple of those on Friday, and it was really great to see the student reaction to the teachers as they were signed. Lynn Davis has a picture of Deb Heichel getting her award, which is one of the most outstanding pictures I've seen of the look of surprise and joy on anyone's face, but that was great. So thank you so much for that. The other is, if you have not had the opportunity, go to the Plainville Library to see the art of all of the students for Plainville Community Schools from pre-K through 12. There is some amazing art. You have to plan some time because it's an extensive show. It's only there for, I think, just a few days, but it is worth your time, and there's some excellent artwork there. Sorry about that.
What actually is the date? Does anybody?
I think it's May 20.
It's either
24th?
25th or 28th, I can't remember.
I was going to say 26th, but I think you're probably right. I'll find out in a second.
24th? Okay, till May 24th. Because
But
that,
it's now until at least the 24th. I think it's that
May
that
20,
Friday.
May 24th.
May 24th is the
I,
last time.
I was able to see a couple of pictures that someone took because her daughter was, had artwork there that looked very impressive. And I know that that's always a not to be missed kind of thing. Every once in a great while, a Tyrell had stuff in there. It was pretty, amazing because the Tyrells are not known for their artistic abilities. So there would be occasionally where there was a Tyrell in there, but I always enjoyed going and looking at everybody else's stuff because we do have an incredible amount of talent in the district, so it's awesome.
Our student rep who suddenly left
Isabella?
does have some work there.
She does. So one of the things I wanted to say was really props to Isabella for asking to be involved and having kids involved. To be honest, the policy committee many years ago did have students on it, but we always ran into a lot of trouble because it's the same kids who do everything and they can only make it to so many things. But it is awesome if we can involve students on the policy level for a lot of things, but specifically for things like this that they do feel so personally impacted by. So, really appreciate the fact that she spoke up and said that. Just an additional thanks to Jen DiLorenzo and Deb Peichel. I know they were our pioneers, but the Learning Adventure Days is something that, I didn't realize it was the two of them that did the yeoman's work on there. I mean, I'm sure it took a team, but that's an awesome program that I think really benefits kids and makes them feel connected. Congratulations, obviously, to all our students and our CABE leaders, our 10% top students. The penny sale from the Rotary Club was moved to this Saturday, the 14th, at 5 o'clock at Robertson Airport.
4 o'clock. Thank you for sharing
4
that.
o'clock?
I almost
Does it
forgot.
start at 4, but
It opens
doesn't
at
start?
3 and we start at 4.
4. I would have been an hour late. See that? That's terrible. Good thing I mentioned it.
Yeah, we were going to hold it on Saturday, and it was just so cold and windy. and
Rainy and
We have
icky.
a certain number of people we need in order to make it work and be profitable so we can afford all the scholarships that
Yeah.
Rotary gives to kids, so.
That's right. So the
We'll
Rotary
do a lot.
Club, this is awesome. I mean, I always am surprised more people don't attend, because I did not go last year when it was at the airport for the first time. I understand it was very successful and it was really fun. It's at the airport again this year. But it's a really fun way to, support the community. Rotary Club does some awesome things, including scholarships for kids. So people who have some time on Saturday, I recommend they go to the airport and do that. Excuse me, what? It starts at 4, but it'll probably go on till what is it? maybe 8,
Probably close to, probably 7 or so,
9.
yeah.
Yeah, it goes for a while, takes a while.
And you can bring
But
a-
you don't have to stay the whole time. I mean, people sometimes go with small children, they don't want to stay the entire time. They go for the first couple of rounds, and then they might leave. So penny steel is awesome. And then just mentioned, somebody mentioned the Relay for Life, I think Rachel might have. It is June 4th this year at Norton Park, back to the way it used to be prior to COVID, where it starts on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on June 4th, and it'll go till Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. So that's always a great one, too. And then lastly, you know, this is funny, you know how everything comes around and goes around? So I served on the building committee for Linden, and at the very end of the project, it was like, don't we have money for a playscape? No, we don't have money for a, but we can't not do a nice playscape after we did all this work. Nope, couldn't get money for a playscape. And I want to say we did something, but we didn't do a lot. And so here we are. So it's just funny because I'm thinking about it now. And then with the other successive, you know, renovations, we actually budgeted in playscape a little more efficiently. So that is what happens. And so it's due time that this happens. So. Thank you.
I just have just a quick comment. I'm just excited to be sitting here today in the celebration. I just needed to comment on it because it was, I wish the kids were still here so I could tell them personally, but if they ever decide to go back and watch a Plainville Board of Education meeting afterwards, it was nice to celebrate the successes and the descriptive words, hearing, you know, being used, enthusiasm, rigorous, incented, challenged. I mean, to be in the top 10% of your class, that is no easy feat. And I can't remember who said it, it might have been you, Kathy, that starts and goes through the duration, and those are the habits and the skill sets that we're trying to drive. And not everyone fits into the same type of box, but those words that I heard, they can be used, you know, to be in the top 10% of any craft or field, and I'm just really pleased to see that. So that was nice. I was excited that we were doing so many great activities last week for Teachers Appreciation Week. I don't know if there's enough appreciation that could go around, certainly not in a week. So I hope that all of the teachers had a great time and really enjoyed the celebrations and acknowledgements. I'm excited for the Teacher of the Year process. I too, like Foster said, was happy that someone was being put up from each school. I think that kind of gains, everybody's vested even more so and makes it fun in a community activity. So that was nice. I wanted to thank you, Mr. LePage, for your superintendent update and the information, especially on the robotics. This past year was the first time I participated as a volunteer, and as someone who my strong point was not sciences, maths and sciences. I think had that program been there, it would have been something that might have pulled someone else who might not have thought they were savvy in that area to participate. And one of the questions that I had throughout the day, as you know, I asked many, was why does this halt here? If we're having such high level of success at the middle school, why aren't we moving this forward to high school? So I just wanted to say I'm super pleased about that. And I can't wait to get over to see the art show, and thank you guys all for your time.
Anyone else? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I kind of lost my spot. I did want to congratulate again the valedictorian and salutatorian, top 10% of the class. It was really nice to see everyone here, and they were even cheering each other on, and I saw some people holding hands, which I thought was really nice. So again, congratulations to them. And we'll go ahead and move on to the quarterly, oh, there's no report. Okay, the turf committee report. Mr. Adlerstein.
So the turf fund report, you ask for that twice a year. We look at it in September, and we look at it toward the end of the year in May. The reason is we don't want anything to sneak up on us. The turf field is a sizable expense. Maintenance on turf field could be a sizable expense, and especially if we don't keep up on it. So, good news, the field is in excellent condition. Last year, we started having it assessed professionally once a year, and that turned out to be a good thing, so we did it again this year. And they did say that the field was in excellent condition. Public Works maintains the fields, except for when there's snow on it, on a monthly basis, and they've been keeping up on that, which helps the longevity of the field. And then the turf fund currently has a balance of $136,000. The biggest change in that was from the end of the year realized savings last year. This board decided to put $50,000 into the turf fund. We didn't collect any fees for folks who use the turf field, the clubs that use the turf field last year because of COVID. This year, we're starting to collect fees again, so we sent notices out just this month. And this is the first time we put the turf field replacement on the capital plan. So in the furthest outlying year, we've now put the turf field on the capital plan. We don't believe it'll be needed then, but we don't want any surprises, so it's listed on that capital plan. Questions?
I have a strange question. I don't know if it's really pertaining to that, but the turf, I noticed when the girls go out there for cheerleading, it's like stains everything. Is that normal for it to still be doing this after all that time, or is that just part of the turf?
I don't know, but I could find out.
Oh, I just was curious. I mean, I know it doesn't have to do with any of the. No, I'm talking about the track. Is that part of it or no?
No.
They're separate. They were separate. It's just the green, yeah. Okay.
The track itself was put in, put in at the same time, and there was
Okay.
no problem with it, but that is a separate surface.
Okay.
Turf.
I didn't know if it was combined with like the whole. Okay.
But it leaches or bleeds the color that gets on people's clothing. So if the board would like, I can look into that. I'll
I
talk
was
to
just
Mr.
curious. I
Farrell
didn't know if it was something that, but it's still like after.
That's a surface that they actually had to be very careful of when they put in the turf, because
Right.
the surface of a track itself, and when they did do that, there was a problem with the installation, as I recall, and there was some bubbling in it, and it had to
Yes,
be redone.
I remember that.
But that is separate.
That's completely
entirely
separate.
from
Okay.
the turf itself.
Good to know.
That's a track that is really USDA approved.
Okay. I thought it was combined, so good to know. Thank you. All right, so policies D through I, we do have a number of policies this evening. As a reminder of the process, we will be approving the aforementioned policies first, basically stating that we, the members of the Board of Education, agree with the information set forth in these policies and are ready for them to become the official policies of the district. We will then postpone approval of the policies to give the public time to look over them and to give them the opportunity to bring any questions or concerns to us at our next business meeting. After the second reading and approval, the policies will then become official district policies. If there are no objections, I will ask for a motion to approve the aforementioned policies, items D through I.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve for first reading policies D through I, those 6 policies, D through I on our agenda.
Second.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to postpone the aforementioned policies, items D through I, for a second reading?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Madam Chairman, I request we approve the contract with the Connecticut Institute for the Blind, Oak Hill, for the period of September 1st, 22 to August 31st, 23.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Do you think, do
Do you want me to-
we want to
might,
have
uh,
Sam?
discussion on that,
We
or
could have
Sam
some
might wanna give
discussion,
a
maybe
report.
Sam can give us a little detail.
So this is an annual lease. It was at one time a long-term lease that then, when that long-term ran out, it was changed to year. It's a little different this year because of the middle school project, and so we had a conversation with Oak Hill, just letting them know the status on the project. They're very willing to, they like the relationship, they like staying, they're willing to help us make the case. Right now, we're looking for a space waiver with the state, so if we need their help, they're willing to do that. But we plan to keep them year to year in the meantime. And so what you have in front of you is a cover letter to you, and then the contract that we would like to send to them. It has a 2% increase. And other than that, all the terms are the same as they were last year. Questions? Cassandra?
With the renovations going on, or potential renovations at the middle school, how is that affecting their space?
So right now, the potential renovations are waiting for a space waiver from the state, and Oak Hill is aware that that's the status, that we're waiting for that space waiver, and depending on the outcome of that, decisions will be made about how to proceed.
Are you guys planning on, will that space also be like renovated as well, or just at a different time?
The way it was presented to the state is that space would be separated out, that it was,
Right.
that's rental space that would be maintained by Oak Hill.
Right, without that space, we're already over the space allowance by quite a bit, several thousand square feet. So we weren't factoring that space into the space for the project, for the renovation. So they may require us to do a long-term lease with Oak Hill just to show that we can't use that space for school, for Plainville school uses. So that's why Sam and I spoke with the director of Oak Hill, and they really want to stay. They said if there's a need for a long-term lease, they would entertain that and be happy to look at that at the time. So we're still waiting on the state to get back to us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so we have a question and a second, so I'll move the question, so we'll vote on this.
So, any opposed? Do you want me to?
Just say all in favor.
Okay, all in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve up to $140,000 for the PHS library furniture and up to $380,000 for the Linden Street School 2 to 5 and 5 to 12 playscapes, including a Gaga Pit, using ESSER fund grants and utilizing pricing from the State of Connecticut Department of Administration Services, parenthetically DAS, contract list. That is the matter we discussed earlier this evening.
Right.
I'll
Superintendent's report,
second
and-
that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Madam Chairman, I request we approve the VEX Robotics side letter agreement regarding the stipend positions for the enhancement of VEX Robotics in Plainville Community Schools.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the aforementioned side letter of agreement between, oh, we did that one, sorry. Plainville Board of Education, okay, stipend, yep.
I'll make a
And then do we have a
motion,
motion to accept
the letter of
administrative
resignation.
resignation, right?
I make a motion to accept with regret the letter of resignation from our athletic director and,
Christopher Farrell.
excuse me?
Christopher
Oh,
Farrell.
Mr. Farrell, yeah. Who is going to be, and wishing him luck as he moves on to Madison, from what I understand.
I regretfully second that motion.
Okay, and I just wanted to add, this is effective as of June 30th, 2022. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Madam Chairman, I move we accept the consent agenda as presented to us in our packet this evening.
Okay, is there any need for discussion on it before?
Then I'll second that motion.
There's no discussion on it. Yeah, but that's not what this says here. It says, if there's no discussion, can I get a motion to approve the entire consent agenda as presented?
That's what,
Items A through E?
yep, that's what,
Okay.
he made that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair?
Motion passes. The motion unanimously carries. All in favor?
Aye.